watching the Spotlight Network. Starring Hollywood's newsman,
And if you were just
Logan
to
Crawford.
investigators, they now believe a single member.
He works with TV and film legends. And now, Logan's shining the spotlight on the world's top emerging authors and creators.
International were abducted.
This is Spotlight with Logan Crawford. Streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV.
I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're diving into a deeply moving and inspirational memoir. It's written by a terrific author. His name is Walter Lawrence, and he has penned a powerful book. It is called Life of Abuse to Success, A Child's Story. It tells the journey of a boy who endured years of mistreatment only to rise above the pain and carve out a brighter, more meaningful life. This is a story about resilience, responsible choices, and the triumph of hope over hardship. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Walter, great to see you here today. Thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome.
This is a powerful book. I think it's going to help a lot of people because a lot of people grow up with pain. They grow up with shame that they shouldn't feel because of abuse and hardship and challenges. What inspired you to share your story? Why did you decide to tell it?
Making changes in your life, teenagers making responsible choices, mothers and fathers choosing the right relationships.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
You had a hard role in your family, and I hear a lot of survivors of abuse talk about this, that they were like a magnet for the abuse. They were the whipping boy. They were the one who caught it when mom or dad was angry or unhinged. You were the whipping boy. What was
Yes.
that like? What was that like growing up like that?
It wasn't easy. It started like when I was the age of about 6 or 7. After my sister's twin brother died of walking pneumonia. That's when the whole attitude changed between my parents and me and things around them.
Yeah.
You know.
And whenever they got angry, whenever they were in a bad mood, you were the one they took it out on.
Yes. Yeah.
Were you the oldest? Is that what it was?
Yeah. I was. I was 7 or 8, and they were 5. You know.
Yeah. Very, very tough. Where did you grow up? What region?
I grew up in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay. Gotcha.
And I don't have a Brooklyn accent.
You don't talk like a Brooklyn guy, but that's a good thing. That's a good
And the
thing.
funny thing is this is the first town out in Nassau County is named Limbrook, which is Brooklyn spelled backwards.
Exactly. And that's where a lot of people from Brooklyn went. They migrated from Brooklyn out to Long Island and from
Yes.
Queens out to Long Island. Yep. I'm a New Yorker, so I know all about that.
Yeah.
At what point did you realize you could change your path? When you realized that despite years of abuse, you could make things better?
Well, when I was a teenager, I promised myself 2 things: never to lie or blame anybody for my mistakes.
Mm.
And I've lived that way all my life. You know, I tried to join the service, and they didn't want me, and then I went to law enforcement. You know, and I always try to ask people, women or men, or young men, young women, how's their relationships, and I try to give them advice. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because you knew what might be at the root cause of the domestic problems they might be having, the substance abuse problems they might be having, because there's a lot of pain and suffering that goes through a person when they do catch a beating like you did, and a lot of people do from their parents. Were you ever able to resolve the conflict with your parents when you got older? Did it get better? Did you confront them? Did you talk to them? Tell us about that part.
Not really. I hadn't seen my mother in about 30 years because we had moved around and I didn't know where she was because she moved. At one time I did try to find her, but I didn't. And when she went into the nursing home, that's when I saw her. You know,
Hmm.
but my father had died at 53
Hmm.
from non-Hodgkin's or whatever he had.
Hmm.
Um, but as far as relationships, I try to tell the young people before you really, really get serious, know the person mentally and physically because he's going to pass all that stuff on to your children, you know. And I know of a couple of people that have that issue, you know.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. What was it like writing the book? Was it painful to relive some of these memories? Was it cathartic to kind of put it down on paper and maybe understand it, digest it, and push it aside in a way?
well, you know, it's funny that it's been so long ago that I was able to remember a lot of stuff. I'll just give you one example. My mother took me to Jones Beach
Mhm.
um, in a place where there were no lifeguards, and she was on the beach sitting on a blanket. I think she had a girlfriend with her or something, and I was 10, I believe, and I went into the water, and without realizing it, there was a riptide, and I got the waves are very very smooth, right? But once they hit the shore, they would back up and go back. Well, I got on each tide that came in. I went out and out and out. I went down out about 25, uh, 30-foot high waves out, right? And uh, and she never even know what happened because when I'm going to myself, how do I get back? And so then I realized, I says, well, if I get to the top of the wave, I'm going to swim down towards the shore. And I had to do that about 25 times. And finally, I got to the shore. And I didn't even tell her what happened, but
Wow.
she didn't notice, you know. But yeah, that was for 10 years old to be having that smarts to do what I did. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. I guess survival kicks in and you do what you got to do. You are a survivor. You
I could
realize that you had to stay calm and you had to figure a way out of this, right? Nobody was coming to rescue you.
I could have ended up in Ireland. I mean,
Unbelievable. That's really, really frightening. I guess you were a fairly strong swimmer for a young child also, I
yeah,
guess.
I could swim. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
It's sad that things that should have been a happy time going to the beach with your mom and her friend should have been a time of family and connection. Instead, it was a time where, you almost drowned and you didn't even have a comfortable enough relationship with her to say, Mom, you won't believe what just happened. So
Yeah, there
it's
was no closeness. I can't remember if my mom ever kissed me or my
mm,
dad even held my hand. None of that stuff. And I'll give you another message here. When I was in high school, I played in the basketball. I went to a Lutheran high school
mhm,
in Maspeth, Queens, and I was on the basketball team. But my father owned a deli, and after school, I would work in the deli, and I would work on the weekends. I never got an allowance, and I I I had 2 days a week basketball practice after school,
mhm,
and my father got upset because I wasn't in the deli.
mm,
And finally, after all that anger coming out of him, uh, I quit basketball.
mm.
And then he got mad because I quit basketball. So there was no right or wrong
Right.
with him. Uh, didn't matter. He got angry anyway. You know.
Yeah. You were damned if you did, damned if you didn't. If you played basketball, you were in trouble because you were in at the deli. If you're at the
Yeah.
deli, you're in trouble because you're not playing basketball. He was
Yeah.
just an angry person who took it out on you. And I see it and hear it so much that
Yeah.
one child is a magnet for the abuse in a
Yeah.
family. And it's sad. It's tragically sad. And again, those should have been happy memories, working side by side with your dad in the deli when you were a young man.
Yeah.
Instead, they're sad memories.
Yeah.
Um, what message do you hope readers take away from your book? What do you hope they learn from your story? What do you hope they learn about themselves?
Like I said, I would like them to. At one example, my ex groomer that I used for my dogs, she has a 19-year-old daughter. I'm going back 2 years now, and she says she's been dating this fella for 6 months. He would send her flowers and stuff like that, and she told her mother, and her mother told me that in that 6 month period they never even kissed. So the next time I brought my other dog to get there, I says, "How's your daughter doing with her boyfriend?" She says she dumped him. So evidently he wasn't the right person for her, and she was smart enough for it.
Exactly,
You know.
exactly. Yeah, she got the message that he was not an emotionally available person and
Yeah,
got out of the relationship, which was great. Now, I
yeah,
understand you work now helping kids. You're a crossing guard. That must be quite fulfilling, seeing the kids in the morning and in the afternoon.
yeah, yeah. I basically direct traffic with my partner. There's two
Mhm.
of us on the road.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've been doing that for I'm going on my 7th year for the
great,
county. Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Gets you outside, gets you among the young people, gets you out in the elements and all of that stuff, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Great.
I mean, you can't be sitting around at the house all the time watching Jerry Springer. You know, it's
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, you got to
boring.
get out there, you got to do something and make a couple extra bucks, which is helpful for grocery money and all that
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
wonderful, wonderful.
yeah,
Well, you've done a great job on this book. I think it's going to help a lot of people. I think your next book should be about Brooklyn, New York, and what it was like growing up in Brooklyn. That'd be a fun
yeah,
story to
yeah.
take a look at, right?
Well, I'll give you one example. How I didn't get an allowance, and what I would do is on Fourth Avenue in Brooklyn
Hmm.
was lined with churches, and the subway ran under Fourth Avenue. So I would have a little tin cup with axle grease in it and a drop line and a sinker, and I would dip the sinker in the grease, and I would lay my stomach on the subway grates, and I'd get all the coins sticking to and I would pull them up.
Awesome, awesome. You're a man who is filled with ingenuity. That's great.
Yeah,
That's a great childhood
and
story.
yeah, and also I'd go to apartment houses and empty the dumbwaiters out. Half the people in the world don't know what a dumbwaiter is, but uh, I would get the newspapers out and I would put them in my wagon. And I would take them down to the junkies and get 25 cents 100 pounds. So that's how I made my money.
Right. 25 cents was a lot of money. I remember getting my hands on a nickel back in the day, and I could get an ice pop or something, or a can of soda, and or some candy, and life was good. That's all we were looking for, to go to the candy store and get a soda or get a ice pop or get some penny candy was awesome, right?
And one thing is that when I lived in Brooklyn, I went to Woolworths
Mhm.
and I stole a candy bar off the shelf. Okay. Oh, that was in 1959.
Right.
I visited my grandmother in 1973 in Brooklyn, Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, and I stopped in Woolworths and I took a candy bar off the shelf and I paid for it, but then I put it back.
Ah, that's great. That's great. It's funny when my mom would take me into Woolworths when I was a kid. There were always the little peppermint patties by the
Yeah,
checkout,
yeah,
wrapped in tin foil, and I used to help myself to those and put them in my pocket. And one day the checker said to me, "Are you going to pay for those candies?" And I was like, "Whoa!" She saw me, and I was on a life of the straight and narrow from that point forward. So both have our Woolworth stories. That
yeah,
probably was around 1968 when I was
yeah,
doing that. Yeah,
yeah,
amazing, amazing. Well,
yeah.
you've done a great job on this book, Walter. The name of the book is Life of Abuse to Success, A Child's Story. And in the book, Walter reminds us that pain doesn't have to define our future. It can fuel our transformation. Walter, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time, your insight, and your candor. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on
God bless you.
Spotlight.
God
God
bless you.
bless you, my friend.